So I've just finished my second read of the first two books of the Kingkiller Chronicle. I have some predictions to share with you about what is to come in the next installment, should that ever actually happen. So my first prediction, anyway, of book 3, The Doors of Stone, is thusly. One of the biggest questions that you see right now anywhere is Kvothe's reason for being no longer himself. He has no Auri, he has no use of sympathetic binding, he can't even play his lute. The running theory is, of course, that his name is somehow locked away in his thrice locked chest, along with his sword and his shade and his pile of naming rings. Everything that makes him him exists within that box. If you go to page 77 and page 78 of A Wise Man's Fear, you can read how Kvothe makes Master Elodin believe that he has changed his name. And then not him, but Fella changed her name. And Elodin freaks the fuck out before he realizes that he's actually talking about Denna simply changing her name. So you gotta think, does Kvothe remove his name and put it in a box? Or did he use his power in naming to literally change his own name? And that is the reason why everything about him is gone. The Kingkiller Chronicle. Who is the king that Kvothe kills? That must be chronicled. We haven't seen that happen, so who is it? What happens? How does this play out? Why is he a king killer? Why has he gone to ground? What is the point of the whole fucking book series? The sub point. Because where he is, because of who hates him, is a subplot, you know? The king killer is like the least important thing about the whole book series. Anyway, people think that it's going to be somehow Simon because he's a member of the gentry, and somehow in some stupid way, because Kvothe is always saying how innocent Simon is, that that Simon is somehow in line for the throne, and then Kvothe kills him, and that's why he's the king killer. I think that is ridiculous. There can only be one. Just like Highlander, there can be only one, and that is undoubtedly Ambrose. His father is only 13 deaths away from being the king himself. So that includes men, their sons, men, their sons, men, their sons, right? So that's like, what, 13 people, 3-4 families tops? So what's going to happen is I think fairly obvious, is that there's going to be fucking massacre. All of those people are going to be wiped out. Then Ambrose's father is going to be the king, okay? Then in a confrontation with Kvothe, Ambrose will kill his own father and blame it on Kvothe, and then Ambrose is king. You see how clean and easy that is? That's the way it's going to be. Something you have to remember from the books is that, of course, this whole story is taking place as a memory. Meaning that, you know, besides what's happened with the king, Kvothe has not overcome or succeeded in any way, shape, or form in his pursuits of hunting down and destroying the Chandrian. Whether or not he's gone and seen the Emir before he's gone to ground is really irrelevant. he's still a failure at this point. So even through to the end of the third book, you still end up with Kvothe sitting at a table with Chronicler telling about the old days. So how can Patrick possibly finish the book series off? He would either have to not end the story, or the third day would have to end like halfway through the book, and then they'd have to carry on from there. Personally, I believe that he's going to play through all of the third day, and the book's going to be almost near the end when it's all going to be, the story's told, and Chronicler's going to say, so now what? How are you going to overcome the Chandrian now? Where are they now? And Kvothe will say, well, I've already got you where I want you, right? Because that's the way that you see problems being solved by Kvothe throughout the book, is that he knows what the other people are going to do, right? So I believe that this whole thing is a setup by Kvothe to catch, essentially Chronicler himself, as possibly even being the 8th image that existed on the vase that the little girl had. Because, they say that there's only 7 Chandrian. Heliax is the master, or Lanre, if they are in fact the same person. But the little girl said on the vase existed 8 characters, and I think Chronicler is that 8th character, and he is in fact the true leader of the Chandrian. And so what Kvothe is going to discover in his pursuit of them in the third book will most likely be that fact. And his going to ground and his going to an inn, and that's all a setup. And it's going to end with him killing Chronicler to beat the Chandrian. The end. Will Denna and Kvothe end up together? Of course they will. Of course they will. They've been enamored with each other throughout the first 2 books, and I've only read a single book series that ever didn't put the 2 together. By the end, I've only ever read 1 book. If you know of a series of books where their love interests don't get together, that is not Christopher Paolini's inheritance cycle, you go ahead and let me know. What do you think is in the lockless box? I think it's a stone key, or some kind of stone plate. You know how Kelvin tells Kvothe about his 2 pieces of metal that create a force field unnaturally, unexplainably. I think that's a precursor, a slight foreshadowing for what's going to come out of the box. Essentially a key, the key to the stone doors. It's obviously the key to the stone doors. There's 2 stone doors that we know of, one in the university and one in the lockless, I forget exactly where it was, manor, estate, library, wherever it was. We know of 2. There will undoubtedly be 3 stone doors on the third book. It's just, that's the way it's. And then, of course, one last topic I'd like to discuss is Auri, who is probably Princess Ariel. One of the things that has yet to happen in the book is to rescue princesses from a sleeping Borrow king. And I think that this is going to be a kidnapping. I think that Kvothe, having not seen Auri for a span of days, for 2 span, will go into the Underthing looking for her. He will find maybe some of her blood and use it to track her and find where she and possibly, obviously, some other princesses happen to be as well for some ridiculous reason. Perhaps it will be under that situation that Kvothe is forced to change his name. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to argue with me, feel free. I love it.